Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's our great pleasure to have such prominent panelists here. Before I introduce them formally, please take a note. The view expressed here by the panelists in the session are their personal views only and should not be attributed to their organization. The information provided should not be relied upon for business purpose or taken into consideration. Shimokaji is a shareholder of his own IP companies. He's engaged in litigation, monetization, procurement of patent rights, domestic and global. Mr. Shimokaji specializes in medtech, specializing in various industries such as aerospace, chemicals, computers. He has held many important positions. He's the co-chairman for the Patent Litigation Committee of the American Intellectual Property Law Association and also co-chair of the Patent Committee of the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association. He served for many years as the Executive Committee for California State Bar Intellectual Property Section, California State Bar Federal Core Committee, and a member editorial for the Journal of Association of University Technology Manager, and Steering Committee of California Minority Council Program, founding director of Orange County Japanese American Law Association. And I don't want to bore you for those their legendary history, but they will give you comprehensive information.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. So we talked about registration. Trademark office, is fine with giving you the registration, but they also want to be able to take it back from you. And so they, over the last couple of years, have started to do this post-registration audit, and it's done on a random basis. The trademark office states that what they're trying to do is kind of clean up the register from marks that aren't really being used. I'm not quite sure that I believe it, and I think maybe Brett was kind of alluding to a problem where, I don't know, you've got 100 listed goods, in a single class, and, are you really using the mark on all 100 goods? And I really think that that's kind of the type of problem that this audit program is trying to address, and that is, you've got all these goods and services listed in these different classes, but are you actually using the mark on or in connection with those goods and services? Okay, so why is this audit program important to you? Well, one, depending upon how the audit goes, you could lose your entire registration. The other is that it kind of can play into other issues that might be going on in federal court litigation or maybe a cancellation proceeding. What I mean by that is that things that you do during this audit period might actually be used against you in a district court proceeding or in a cancellation proceeding. The other is attorney discipline. So for those registered in the Patent and Trademark Office, they have some jurisdiction over what you're doing or not doing. And technically, if they find that you're not acting in some ethical fashion, they can take steps against you in a disciplinary way. Okay, so to give some context about this audit program, the Trademark Office says that what they're trying to do right now is audit about 5,000 applicant or registrations a year. Now, to put that kind of in context, and this isn't, really kind of a great context, but in 2018, there were 500,000 new trademark applications. Now, obviously, not every one of those applications gets to the point of registration, but, I don't know, 5,000 out of 500,000 may kind of give you some indication of the likelihood of audit. although the trademark office does say that they're trying to increase that 5,000 number. Okay, so when can this audit, come into effect or affect your registration? One, you need to have filed some declaration of use. The other is that your registration has to have at least one class with 4 or more goods or services, and or it has to have at least 2 classes with 2 or more goods or services. What is at least unclear to me is that it kind of appears that there's kind of like no time frame during which this audit can sort of like capture your declaration of use. And what I mean by that is, you file a declaration of use maybe today. It's unclear, at least to me, whether that audit program can come along 2 years later and then, relook at that declaration, or whether it has to be within any particular time frame. So what the Trademark Office is trying to do is test this issue of whether you actually used the mark in the ordinary course of trade, as opposed to just trying to reserve the mark, meaning that, your use was kind of this thing called a nominal use. It really wasn't part of some ongoing business for you, and this nominal use is what you used to claim that you actually used the mark. Okay, so 2 situations, right? You can have goods or services, and depending upon whether you've got goods or services, you need to be able to establish use of that mark in connection with the goods or services. So for goods, the mark needs to be on the goods. And those goods need to somehow get sold or moved in interstate commerce. For services, the mark needs to be used in connection with the sale or advertising. I think Brett had kind of mentioned one case involving maybe some web advertising. I'm not sure if this is the same case you're referring to, but I'm pretty sure earlier this year there was some case from the Federal Circuit that talked about the applicant, I guess, was trying to claim that it was using the mark based upon its website, and that someone could go to the website and kind of see something for sale.
Rest or stage way.
Oh, is that what it was?
I'm going to talk about it.
Okay. So I won't get into it too much, other than to say that I guess there wasn't enough of an ability for a user to go to the website and actually make a purchase of something. Okay, so when we talk about the mark being used in commerce, we're talking about it being used in interstate commerce, meaning that there's something going on with the goods and services across state lines in the United States. In commerce can also include territories of the United States, like Guam, and in commerce can also be transactions that are going on between the U.S. and a foreign country. Okay, so you get this. You're lucky enough to get involved in this audit program. These are the kinds of things that you might be somewhat obliged to provide to the Trademark Office in order to establish actual use. The kind of overall, I think, intent or goal of the Trademark Office is to really kind of test to see if, out of the 50 goods that you listed in the one class, are you really using that mark on all 50? And so they go through this process of office action and response to kind of, get it whittled down to maybe finally expecting you to provide evidence of use for each of those 50 goods or services. The Trademark Office does kind of identify certain parameters that they use to kind of explain to an applicant or the public, what they're going to be expecting in office action and responses. But in my kind of read of it, it doesn't really kind of match up with what they use as the parameters to actually initiate the office action. And kind of what I mean by that, for example, is, so in this first office action, at least according to the Trademark Office, they can ask for proof of use for 2 additional goods or services for each class, or for classes with only 1 goods or service, proof of use for that class.
Okay, so you should point out, it's not 2 random additional. They can specify which ones they want. So they say, I want to see a tie and a sock, not 2 more clothing items. So that's even tougher. You don't know what they're going to ask for.
Sure. But if you kind of look at what they can request, and then you go back to, let's see, where is it? This, what they're saying is that they can audit you if you've only got 1 class with 4 goods, or 2 classes with 2 or more goods. But if those are the audit parameters, at least in my view, it doesn't kind of match up with what they're going to request here. Okay, so just to kind of briefly go through it, you've got this first office action. This is what they might be requesting. Here's what your response might be. You're going to provide some proof of use, or for those items that they ask for proof of use on, maybe you just want to delete the item because, you haven't actually used the mark on all 50 goods. You can go through a second office action. Again, they're going to be asking for even, more proof on more goods or services. And finally getting down to a final office action where they're basically saying that, you haven't given us all the proof, and so we just kind of need to delete out those goods or services that you can't provide proof of use on. Okay. Here's where you are at the final office action.
Good.
You're either got to delete out those goods or services or petition the director.
And they won't give you another opportunity to start showing goods at this point.
True. So they came out with some statistics, that is the Trademark Office, in terms of, how many folks responded to these audit office actions. It kind of seemed to be a high number. I don't recall the number offhand.
It was like 75% of Madrid Protocol
was that?
had to delete at least 1 product.
Oh, well, I was referring to, they just didn't respond at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's just because, they just weren't interested in keeping the mark, or they just, kind of realized that they're just not going to be able to provide any proof of use. But I kind of think it was like in the 40% or something like that, where people just didn't respond at all. So no response, you end up with no registration. Okay, so on this attorney discipline, it's kind of, again, what Brett was kind of referring to. People are kind of going through the application and just sort of like checking off boxes. And, in that declaration of use, you're being asked to check off a box that kind of says something along the lines of, yes, I conducted some reasonable diligence about the actual use, and that there was some evidentiary support. Well, yeah, because the box is kind of easy to check off, maybe there's like about 4 boxes, I think, that are kind of needed for that declaration of use. So, I don't know, attorneys can be in a rush to get things done. And if it's a box, it just kind of seems almost perfunctory, maybe to some folks, to just, okay, it's a box, let me just check it off. But doing that, at least according to the trademark office, can lead to some potential disciplinary action, right? I think another kind of related issue in this whole audit program is are applicants that are, submitting specimens of the mark which just aren't real specimens. I'm not sure how, the audit program really kind of addresses this issue, because at least in my mind, if someone's submitting a fraudulent specimen, they're going to probably be happy to submit a fraudulent declaration
No,
that
Michael,
supports.
the answer is,
Yeah.
they'll say, we don't like your specimen, we think it's Photoshopped. Now, please provide us either more packaging or another photograph at a different angle. They will not accept the identical specimen. and
No, I
they
agree
have the
that
right
they-
to say, show me new specimens or risk cancellation.
No, that is correct that they can ask for additional specimens, and actually you can't rely on the original specimen, but I don't know, who's to say if they,
Do it again.
yeah, they're just going to do it again.
Well, there actually is an expedited way that you, as another trademark owner, not an
Right,
examiner,
turn them in.
can include them in, where you submit what's called like a kind of expedited, I guess like a protest letter, right?
Okay,
And you show like, okay, here's the specimen that's got like this Photoshop of, maybe it's the application of a registration for a purse, and they've got a picture of a lady, and it's clearly like a Photoshop purse that's just like stuck on her. And then you go to the websites, and you show that that doesn't exist on their website, or that maybe that same lady is on other ones as well.
Okay. I guess my point is that, if they did it once, what's really going to